Okay, now the next thing is specific heat capacity or specific thermal capacity. Now, when I was earlier defining the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of this water bottle, I just defined it for this water bottle. That means if you have another water bottle with a different amount of water and a plastic of different nature, then it would take a different amount of heat to raise its temperature by 1 degree Celsius. Just to get rid of all that confusion, we defined something called specific heat capacity as the amount of heat required by 1 kilogram of an object to raise its temperature by 1 degree Celsius. So it is the amount of thermal energy heat required by 1 kilogram. So this 1 kilogram is the difference between the heat capacity and specific heat capacity. If you are simply defining for a bottle of water, irrespective of how much water is there, irrespective of the nature of the plastic, then that is heat capacity. We are simply saying for this water bottle you need this much heat to increase its temperature by this much. But if you're going to take into consideration the amount of water and you're going to say for every 1 kilogram of water you need this much, then that is specific heat capacity. Now both are useful because there are things that you can divide, you can have in 1 kilogram. For example, the water. You can have 1 kilogram of water, 2 kilogram of water, like corresponding volume. But you can't have the water bottle as 1 kilogram water bottle or 2 kilogram water bottle. Or you can't have this calculator as 1 kilogram calculator. This is a single object. So in objects which are not divisible, heat capacity is quite useful. In objects which can be divided by amount, specific heat capacity is even more useful. So we already now, if you try to relate the heat capacity and specific heat capacity, then heat capacity is equal to, now pause the video for a second and try to find the relationship between heat capacity and the specific heat capacity C. Now we denote specific heat capacity by the letter C. So try to find what is the relationship. It will be mass. Heat capacity is equal to mass times the specific heat capacity, right? Because specific heat capacity talks about for each kilogram. So if an object is 3 kilogram, when you multiply it by the mass, you get the amount of heat required to change the temperature of that object by 1 degree Celsius. So when you multiply the heat capacity by the amount of mass, the kilogram condition, 1 kilogram condition goes off, and that is the relationship between heat capacity and specific heat capacity. We already saw that heat capacity is equal to energy over change in temperature. Now we can replace heat capacity by mc. So we will have an equation: the energy released or absorbed when the temperature changes by an amount of delta T is equal to mc delta T, or mc, sometimes they use theta, mc delta theta. So what will be the unit of heat capacity, specific heat capacity? So it is the energy required to change the temperature of 1 kilogram by 1 degree Celsius. So energy per kilogram degree Celsius, or use per kilogram minus 1 degree Celsius minus 1.